Let's kick it off.
Get
Let's
it
get
going.
started.
All right.
Yes. So we're officially launching the third episode of our Keeping Your Seat at the Table series here. My name is Charlie Bathgate. I am your host for today, and I'm joined by two esteemed guests, one of whom y'all have already seen. Y'all already know. His name is Ron Friedman. He's the founder of TradingThePost.com. Say hello to everybody, Ron.
Thanks for coming by.
And our second guest today, we are very, very grateful that he's come by to talk to us a little bit. He's been a big part of our community for a while. He's somebody who we have a lot of respect for. He's somebody who's given a lot back to, I think, a ton of people, in our community. So Tawrad, you want to say what's up?
What's up, everyone? Thanks for having me, Charlie and Ranchero.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So let's get some name. I'm going to be falling back into my own ways of referencing everybody in this show, and I don't want people to get confused. So if I call Ron Ranch or Ranchero, that's because those are his nicknames in the chat, or Ron, of course. So that's, you all know who I'm referring to. And then for Tawrad, his name in our chat is Brown 20 Man. So sometimes we call him Brown, sometimes we call him B20. He also goes by TA, which are his initials. So if I use any of those, y'all know who I'm referring to, the man in front of you. So what we are here to do today is to talk to TA about his journey in trading and how he's integrated, I think, a lot of what Ranch does, what Ranch has taught, how he uses it himself, how he's done it differently. He's had a really interesting journey through trading, been at it for a good bit of time now, and I think that there's a lot for people to learn and glean from his lessons. So we're going to ask him, we're just going to pepper him with questions and try and drag some of his story out for everybody to learn from. I think it's going to be a very good conversation. The whole reason we're doing this series is because we are relaunching the Trading the Post educational experience. I call it an educational experience because it's not just a course. You get more than that. So if you go to tradingthepost.com, you can find out everything that we're offering. But basically it breaks down to, you get Ron Friedman's educational course where he teaches you everything that he does. You get 3 months of access to his chat rooms and our proprietary platform, where we've made it easier than ever to focus on what you want and block out the noise. That also includes live trading sessions with Ranch, where you're going to see what he's trading and be able to, participate in the trades that he's taking on a daily basis. We're going to talk some more about that, as this conversation unfolds. So up until November 1st, which is Tuesday of next week, we're filming this on Monday, October 24th. Is that what it is? Yeah. Up until November 1st, you can save $250 on this trading experience by using TTP Save 250 at checkout. So that'll save you $250 off of that experience. So go to tradingthepost.com to learn more about that. All right, TA, let's start out and let's give everybody a little bit of background. So talk to us about how long you've been at this, how long you've been trading, and how you first got into it. Let's start there.
Yeah, I started back in around 2010, but not successfully by no means. As you know, this is a journey.
Yep.
I didn't have any knowledge besides a finance degree, how to even start about trading. I would just randomly take positions based on other people's referral service, which I won't mention. That never worked out for me. Then I think I talked about this in my previous interview. My wife actually got me a Groupon for charting bulls on Wall Street. I think back in 2014, and I'd done that class. I really enjoyed technical analysis. From there, I found Lucci. Then I came on board, I think, in Sang Lucci's team on the Wall Street Jesus around 2017, 2018 timeframe, I want to say.
Yeah.
Then everything was going great. Then personal shit happened in life, as we all have. Mm-hmm. Death in the family, where I took some time off from pretty much from beginning of 2019 to almost end of 2021. but Ranch and I met in Steam Room, I think around 2018 time, and we always clicked from day one. Um, then when I came back, I got into the TTP room, and since then it's definitely been a game changer for me as far as mental perspective, your risk, not chasing anything, just being patient. So here I am now, taking day at a time. My biggest thing, to keep a seat at the table. When I took the last or 2 years off from 2019 to 2021, I really focused on myself because the habit that I was living wasn't really healthy physically, or your outside life, your families. So I had to take a step back and first of all take care of myself, and I knew that, hey, I've been at this game for a long time and market's not going to go anywhere, it'll always be here. But if I can't get my mental right, that I'll always come back and struggle again. So my main focus now, back in the day, I would really be upset if I missed a trade, but more so now, every day I have a little check that I do within myself. How am I feeling today? Like, what am I upset from a previous day's trading, or am I in a good headspace? Because if you're not, then that always ends up showing when you're trading. So that's been my main focus, to be honest with you, this year. Just make sure I'm in the right mindset, and yeah, which is also helping me be patient. If I miss a trade, there's no problem with that. There will be another one coming up.
Yeah. You kind of sound like Ranch talking right now, which is funny.
I
was
think
gonna
that's
ask Ranch,
great,
like,
though. Just think about what he just said. I mean, he's somebody who has come in and out over the years, and any time he's decided to take some time off, it's always been about he's working on something of himself, as opposed to, oh, I'm not trading well. He always turns and reflects inward and says, what's broken here? Can I figure that out? And let me fix that before I just come into the market and throw my money to the wind, which I think is hugely important. It's always going to be here. You can always step away and figure that out and come back. I think he's a great example of that.
Yeah, and having a wife that's a clinical psychologist definitely helps out too.
That's a double-edged sword, man. That can help, or that could be tough. No escape. Branch, what's your impression of TA as a trader? I mean, you guys have known each other for a while. You talk a lot about trades. Like, obviously we're going to get him to talk about his style, but what's been your experience of?
I mean, my takeaway is that he has applied a lot of what we talk about and what we do, and he's figured out over time what it is that works best for the way that he likes to trade. So even though, for example, he might not look at one of our long-term positions and take the long-term position the same way that I teach the setup and coach members through it, he may look at it and see it through a different lens and find a different opportunity and trade it a different way. And I think that that's really important. And, if he looks at it and I think he looks at some of the things and he's like, listen, keep it, there's too much going on there. I'm going to keep it, simple, or I'm going to keep it to how I like. And then I'm going to, trade in just a slightly different way than y'all are trading. I think he does that really well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have literally a handful of names that I trade over and over, like SPY, SPX, majority of the FANG's name. That helps me because, when you're moving around a lot of different tickers, then you kind of have to play around with it until you kind of figure out that move. Versus when you just have a handful of names, I don't even have to sit there and scan anything. I don't even know last time when I ran a scan, because I already know, I have alerts set based on the same tickers that I'm trading. And what Ranch does every morning, I kind of sometimes feel lost. I was kind of lost last 3 days of last week when he was gone. He does the morning call, and we kind of go over levels, all of us in the room together. And that's been extremely helpful. I know for myself and majority of the room as well too. So yeah, thank you, Ranch. Yeah, you've been a big savior.
Pumping my own tires. Don't wait, the check hasn't cleared yet. We'll wait for the check to clear.
Yeah, I mean, what was your style? How would you have described your style prior to joining TTP? And I'm kind of like interested in how TTP like converged with what you're already doing, and then how you apply it now.
Hopeful initially. When a position goes against you, you just, instead of, if you're wrong, and then cut it. Like I always tell the room, if you're wrong, be wrong fast.
Mhm.
Before, I would sit there holding loser position, especially when on a weekly, I don't know what I was thinking, just let it expire when I could have just taken a 10 to 20% loss and moved on.
Yeah.
But besides just taking a small loss, or loss on that trade, I would mess up on future probability of getting a better trade that's coming my way. What Ranch, it's how he's helping, in the TTP room. When we get on the call, everybody putting in and talking through it. And that way, sometimes if you come in too biased and then you kind of hear everybody else talk, then it definitely forces you to think from another perspective of that trade.
Mhm.
Whenever I took a long break, Ranch was the only person I talked to. So yeah, definitely patience is one of the biggest thing that Ranch helped me with. And it's okay. We all make mistakes. And, I'm similar like him. My win rate probably is not as high, but being burnt so many years and so many times, my red is much lower than my green. But however, I may have 7 red out of a 3 green, 10 trades, but 3 green will make up for the 7 reds plus more.
Yeah.
So definitely, cutting, like earlier, he mentioned in the room, he's like, I just don't feel comfortable adding to a loser position. And I think I made a comment, that's why you are where you're at right now. But
Mhm.
old me would have been, oh, let me just average down. So those are some of the things, like it's a big, like if you're wrong, be wrong fast.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, and
Charlie, I have a quick question. I want to ask
Yeah.
Brown Man. It just popped into my head, so my little ADHD brain is going here. Brown Man, when you trade and what you've applied, and I've never asked you this question. We have so many, well, not so many. We have a quiver of arrows that we like to use to help us find probability on trades. Can you tell me what arrows you use? Like, how do you arrive at the decision point of when you're going to pull the trigger? Do you use 3 or 4 hours arrows? Do you use 1 or 2? Do you use more than that? Like, what's your approach?
So it depends on the day. For instance, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I pay attention to open interest on SPY. For some reason, I always stick to SPY. I don't trade Qs as much.
And you post that, by the way, on those mornings, which is, I think, highly valuable. You always post what that open interest is on SPY and Qs and IWM.
Yeah, and I don't use the open interest as like, oh, this is where price is going to go. It's more so like, for instance, today, highest open interest on the call side, I think, was 380. Yeah, that was my interest, but SPY didn't open up at 380. It opened below, I want to say 375. I don't have my chart right in front of me. But there's different levels that I watch on the day of Expo just to see how price is going to behave around those area. Definitely keep, look at the level 2 when it gets to a certain highest open interest, and see if price is able to stay below or above it, or if there's more buyers coming in at certain level. That kind of, gives you an idea that, okay, this might be place, if you want to go long, you could take in, a shot at the long side because your risk is very minimal. I try to, whenever I enter a position, I try to be as close to the moving averages that I use, as close to as possible, just because if I'm wrong at it, I'll be out very fast versus, if I'm chasing, I hate chasing. I used to chase a lot, but I don't do that anymore. I rather wait for a price to pull back if I'm going to long, or vice versa. And I might as well sit there all day, or you may not even get that trade, but at least I know that, hey, my main focus is always risk these days. I don't really care about how much am I making. But as far as, the other arrows you're talking about, at least once a day, I'll ask about the HFT numbers that you guys use. Like Friday was a great example. I think all of the HFT numbers was all positive, and I tried, I think 2 or 3 times trying to short something, and obviously I got stopped out. Then I just stopped, and I didn't want to fight against that. And I should have known better. End of the month expo, a lot of fuckery will happen. And
yeah,
so
true.
I just took, I just sat there and watched. And also, big credit to Jesus for all the flows that he pushes out. Definitely, not just because the flow comes in, and you're against that particular position. I used to let it scare me out of it, but most of the time, I'm scalping. So it doesn't really matter to me what happens 6 months down the road, a lot of the big flow. But if it's $1 million+ flow, I'll definitely pay attention to it. Yeah, your commentary every morning, again, extremely helpful, paying attention, to where our squeezometer is at, our, short-term sentiment is at, and along with HFT numbers. And again, if you're playing the same thing like I do, you kind of already know like where it might reverse or where you might be able to take a long.
Yeah. So in your brain, your checklist is ding, 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 and you're done. And you're looking at, can I trade here or not? Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
And, obviously, then my technical analysis side comes in, intraday setup wise, I'm looking for certain setups like open range breakout, is it green to red, red to green? Is it extremely a sell-off that it may just take everyone out, then all of a sudden it bounces back? So reversals, some of the things, some of the setups that I focus on intraday wise.
Mm-hmm.
You said a couple seconds ago, I used to chase a lot. I don't do that now. I feel like half of the people watching this are probably like, well, what the fuck? How did you stop chasing it? Like, give us your secret. How did you stop doing that?
Getting burnt out, like, burning out your accounts, blowing it up. Yeah, like, I mean, if you're going to be moving around stock to stock, then it's really hard to be able to make that fast decision right then and there. Most of the time, you don't even know if you're chasing it, because sometimes you get FOMO. Everybody in the room, oh, I'm in this particular, and you're like, oh, I have to be in it. Mm-hmm. If you just take a step back and just, it's like a Google Maps. Like if you are, trying to avoid, like say, hey, I want to pick a spot where I don't want to deal with tsunamis, so get away from the ocean or whatever. You zoom in. So it's same with trading a stock. A lot of the time we look at the intraday charts, and then you're like, oh, this is what's going to happen. But I don't think a lot of the traders, I think they forget to look at the monthly chart, weekly chart, daily, then kind of drill yourself down. So when I say I don't chase, I will look at intraday wise, if you're trying to long something and it just shot up and it's way above all the moving average, 80 EMA, one of the example on 5 minute, and probability of it's going to come back and test that before it can make new or keep going, unless there's some kind of crazy news associated with it or buyout or whatever that may be. So if you're going to, that's how I was able to, not chase anymore, besides like, hey, like every time I've done this, it went against me. And another thing I wanted to point out, a lot of the time, I think as traders, we don't have the time. Most people, as a newbie, you don't know the mistakes you're making. And if you don't know the mistakes you keep making and repeating it, you will never be able to fix that. So when I took all those, years off, and it was mainly so like focusing on what am I doing wrong? And when I was able to figure all that out, and everything kind of fell in place. A lot of the time, I think we're so focused on the money part of it, and that you kind of forget about the process. And so yeah, mentally, it's a big thing for me, like I said, and yeah, just being aware, what you're doing, and have you made that similar mistakes in the past? And if so, then, there should be some kind of voice in your head saying, let's step back a little bit. And the way I tend to just either I go work out, I'll play some Catan on my phone, or just do some work, and that will help me avoid, getting into something I know I shouldn't be in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I first of all, I just want to say, Charlie, I've got a ton of respect for Brown Man, because he's done things over the years where when he recognized something is broken, he actually figured out how to fix it. Identifying it and fixing it are two big things. Like I used to give Brown Man a hard time. Like he took time off because he was like kind of a fat ass for a while, right, Brown Man? You're like,
I
can't be
was
a fat ass
30 pounds
anymore.
heavier, and
I got
drinking
to
every
stop
day.
eating burgers and ride a bike, and you took time off and you fixed that. Like I have a ton of respect for that. You fixed yourself, and then you came back, you got yourself right, and then you kept coming back and reapplying and tweaking, and you've developed your own style now, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Raj.
Yeah. I mean, I think, it's easy. We can brag about you, TA, because you're probably not going to do it for yourself. But people in the room have a shitload of respect for you, and I think in part it's because you're a really good trader, and because they've learned over time, like, this is a dude that you want to listen to, but also because exactly what Raj just said. I think you embody somebody who's doing the work, who's like, this is something that needs to get fixed, and it would be easy for me. It would be easier emotionally for me to like keep kicking the can down the road and not deal with this. But if I want to get to where I got to go, where I want to go, then I got to do the work. And I think your results speak
Charlie,
for themselves. So
I have yet to have a trader in our room who is a pro at coming in and being like, I got this small account, and then he builds it up. And then, whatever he's got to go work on, he's like, all right, I'm out. He like takes his money, and then he comes back and he's like, I'm going to start with small account again. Like, this dude builds small. How many times have you done this now? You've like taken your money, left, gone home, come back. You're like, all right, I'm going to start over again.
You're one of those types,
something
dude.
small.
Yeah.
He's like, the dude, I don't know how the dude does it. Like, what are you on? Like number 5 or 6 times now doing that?
Around there, somewhere around there. But yeah, lately, I obviously, I think we all want a huge account. But again, I used to be so focused on money part, and I'm also very fortunate and lucky. I have a great paying job. My wife is very successful, so a lot of the time I don't have that pressure of making money, right? So that also has helped me.
That helps
tremendously. When you're so focused on money, it tends to usually go the other way around. But for anybody out there, I would say just focus on yourself and, trying to see what you're doing wrong and fix that, and take care of your mental game, because that's my main focus every single day. I will automatically know the day I shouldn't trade, just because I wake up angry or pissed off at the world for no reason. I was like, okay, I need to take a step back. So being mindfulness has helped me quite a bit.
Yo, I noticed Charlie Brown Man is a sneakerhead, and when he doesn't get like a drop, he's cranky. I'm like, don't trade today. I'm like, if you didn't get your drop, don't trade.
These are the inputs that people need to know about.
Yeah, I am a big sneakerhead. Yeah, running out of space. Yeah. But just like the market, it's in a recession, so I'm trying to buy up as much as I can. So yeah, well,
dude, there's always an excuse, man. Spoken like a true degenerate. Oh, we're in a recession. I gotta buy it up. There's opportunities. Lucha and I used to have a roommate in New York whose nickname became Add to Cart, and he literally had a full walk-in closet, a huge walk-in closet that was just stacked with shoes. And once every 6 months, he would come out and he would just dump all of his shoes in a pile in the middle of his loft. And he'd be like, I don't want any of these. You guys can take them. We would all like scurry around like addicts and be like, oh, give me them. We're like fighting over shoes and stuff. It was a scene. Okay, so let's talk about how you're trading now. I mean, what is your typical time horizon for a trade? Are there a couple trades recently that you've taken on, this year that come to mind that are sort of prototypical trades for you?
I'll talk about the one, I think, June timeframe. Rancher and I think we shorted SPY. I'm sorry, I don't have my trading laptop right in front of me. I'm actually using my wife's laptop because her camera is better. So yeah,
no worries.
Yeah, she threw me in the basement.
Now we know the therapy.
So yeah, I think, last time I did any swing position was around June time, catching SPY. And one of the strategies, Ranch does amazing. rolling, where you still want to be in part of that trade, but your risk is very minimal. Sometimes it ends up being no risk at all. And I've done that with him on a June SPY trade. But I'm in government contracting, so fiscal year just ended for us. So I've been super busy at work. So lately, all I have been doing is scalping. That's my bread and butter, to be honest. When it comes to trading, if it doesn't go my way from the get-go, usually I will get out and then look at it again and a different setup. And also the market's so bipolar these days. It's really hard to hold anything overnight, at least for me. I try my best not to take anything home, although I took some Tesla puts home tonight, but nothing big. But yeah, I'm mainly a scalper, and if a trade is, I'm not in a trade more than 30 minutes max. That's sometimes even too long for me, especially if you're trading SPX. If it doesn't go your way, just get out. Then come and revisit it again and wait for a setup. So yeah, I would right now. Last few months, it's all been scalping.
Got you. And that's, I mean, you were just speaking to the fact, I think a lot of people, Ron is full-time. Obviously this is what he's doing. He's trading. And some people are like, well, if I'm going to do what this guy does, or, kind of be in his room, I got to be in front of my screens for 8 hours a day and take some of the longer term trades. And can you speak a little bit about the balance that you've found with working like a high, well compensating job that has a lot of demands on you and keeping your eye on the markets? How have you found that?
Again, extremely fortunate. I've been with this company since 2014. I don't really job hop at all. But I'm at a director of finance level at my company, and I've been there one of the longest. So I usually get all my work done before the market opens, and I will follow through, during lunchtime with emails and after hours sometimes, so they think I'm working, quite a long hours, and just keeping everyone happy as far as just taking care of what needs to be taken care of. I've been with the company for so long that I know what I have to prioritize, what I can get away with, holding till next day. So I try to keep my, between 9 to 11 open for my trading time, and everything else I will work, and luckily my boss, he's also well aware that I trade. So again, I'm very fortunate to be able to have that on my side. So I usually either get up early if things needs to be done, or work after hours once the market's closed and take care of what needs to be done.
Yeah. You've built your system, you built your daily schedule where how to check the boxes.
I'm 100% routine type of guy, and every time I go on vacation, it just throws me off, and I'm actually pretty cranky because it takes me about a week to get back in my routine.
Dude, I'm the same way.
Yeah, it's just
it drives my wife crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a military habit. And I figure out a way to trade because I love trading. If you come into this trading journey thinking, oh, I'm just gonna get rich, you're not probably gonna make it. It's not the right reason. You gotta have some kind of fire in you that, even on the red days to green days, you gotta act the same way, with zero emotions, and be able to grind it out day in, day out.
Yeah.
Well, that's something that
I agree with that.
That's something that I wanted to ask you about. We were talking about how you have built up. You've taken small accounts, you've built them up, and then you take everything out of that and you go back to a smaller account, which is a hilarious thing. When I first got into the trading world and getting to know a lot of really successful traders, I didn't realize how many traders actually do that. Like really good traders would just be like, it's January 1st, taking this thing back down to below PDT or 50 grand or whatever, even though, and they just keep taking out and starting it over. And what, based on all that experience of you doing that, what is your advice to people who are either at PDT or maybe below PDT, like right in that range? Like, what are some things that you've taken from that experience?
The reason I would do that, because, most of the time your bigger losses comes after your huge win, right? Because you get cocky, and that's when it can go against you. As far as, it took me, I don't know, so many years to figure it out. Hey, less is more. Just because you label yourself as a trader doesn't mean you constantly have to be in a trade, right? You know, sometimes, you know, majority of the time trading is just sitting there waiting for price to get to a level, and where if you want to long it or short it, you just got to sit there and wait and watch it like a hawk. You know, because you know, I would say trade less and, you know, give yourself some guidelines daily, like, okay, I'm not going to trade first 15 minutes of the day, or, you know, I'm not going to take any lottos, you know, I'm not going to play any 0 day till expiration or XPX, whatever that may be. But first of all, it has to go back to knowing yourself. Hey, this is where I'm good at. This is where I make a lot of my mistakes. Until you can drill that down, you won't be able to know that, hey, this is what I should do or this is what I shouldn't do. So my advice would be just definitely, you know, how you are as a trader, what fits your, you know, risk parameter. You know, are you a gambler, or, you know, are you rather, you know, slowly, you know, grow that account? You know, trying to take, you know, if, you know, have a risk, some kind of risk management in place. You know, if you're messing around with, you know, say $30,000 account, you know, have some kind of percentage base that, hey, you know, I'm willing to, you know, take, you know, $300 loss per trade, or, you know, I'm not going to let myself get more than $1,000 loss for that day. And if I am, you got to be disciplined enough to just get out, go on a long walk, and just come back fresh the next day. A lot of the time we can't do that. We sit there and trying to make up the losses and ends up being digging ourselves in a deeper hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of digging yourself into holes, what do you feel like are your challenges now as a trader, and how are they different compared to your challenges, the things that you faced, let's say 5 years ago? Like, how have they evolved?
That's a good one. A lot of the challenges these days, it's not even more so trading. It's outside of trading.
Yeah.
We all have issues, you know, in life, family to, you know, health to whatever it is. So those are bigger challenges to me than trading. And I'm okay missing days and, you know, from trading completely. But before 5 years ago, I would say that I always felt like I would have to be in a trade. I would have to be in front of my screen. I would have to be constantly be in something. But
Got you.
But yeah, these days it's not, has nothing to do with trading wise. You know, only other challenge would be, you know, all this, you know, bipolar price action. You know, you know,
The
nothing.
buzzsaw that is the markets right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing has changed overall, you know, from the top level. But yeah, so sometimes, you know, you got to know, like, you know, I'm mainly short. I love shorting, but you also got to know, you know, hey man, you know, today could be a day for like an epic squeeze come your way. So always be aware of those type of moves may come. So always got to be on your toes. That's why, again, I don't take anything home very rarely, and if I do, it's tiny percentage of my account, so it's not really gonna do me any harm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be the new, you know, biggest challenge these days. It just has nothing to do with trading, besides again the price action piece of it. And you know, I can't even keep track of how many times different Fed speakers come on and say the same shit. So yeah, man, that's where I'm at.
Got you. I mean, you spoke to it a little bit, keeping time frame short, you know, a lot of scalps. How, you know, for someone who likes to short, whose edge often comes from shorting, how has it been this year for you? And yeah.
This year, I mean, it's been pretty good, except as long as you didn't get caught in the squeeze, because like I said, those squeezes can literally blow up someone's account. And you know,
Yeah.
if you're not, you know, managing your risk. You know, I think July was so. July and August wasn't the best for me, but overall this year has been good. I have zero complaints.
What do you feel like you get out of being in the Trading the Post community, being in the rooms? You spoke obviously to the insight that you get in the markets of being with Ranch and you know, his insight, but is there something else for you that keeps you engaged there?
So yeah, there's so many good traders in there that all is, Vinny is one of them. I mean, that's just one of them I'm talking about. There's so many of them. So I apologize in advance if I don't mention your name.
Right.
Zach is the SPX killer. Parvez being able to, without bias, I think he, uses HFT quite a bit, and being able to long and short. And sometimes I can't do that. Sometimes I'd rather wait for my level so I can short it because I know what I'm good at. And sometimes I can't change my, thought process. But there are a lot of, it's a community, right, in our chat room. So we all throw in our ideas and talk about it. And sometimes, that's also been helpful. When Ranch is gone, we're usually helping each other out. Just where everybody is at, as far as, what they're watching, what they see. Sometimes, you might not see the same way they do, but sometimes, it opens up another set of eyes, looking over something that you may have missed. It's a community, it's a team effort, I would say, when we're in some of these trades together. Honestly, I can't even trade without being logged in and talking to the guys. And, I'm a human at the end of the day. I do make mistakes. And every time I go on vacation, Ron would text me, hey, make sure you're not trading, because he knows I am a degenerate. And I will make some, dumb decisions while I'm on vacation when I shouldn't. Sometimes I will delete my trading platform completely off my phone. None of that, and so that way, I'm not doing dumb shit.
Closing trades only from the phone, right?
Yeah.
You can shut them down. Don't open them.
Yeah.
That's smart, man. Yeah, I feel like that, that community really there is people have gotten to know one another well, and there is kind of a holding one another accountable, not in a dick way. No one's saying, hey, you said you wouldn't get in at this level and you did. You owe us an explanation, but shit like what you were just talking about of, you're going on vacation, go ski. Don't actually, don't trade Tesla weeklies from the lift.
I have done that before, and old me have done that, and
yeah, don't be doing that.
Rodman, do you use, I'm just curious real quick, do you use alerts when you're trading? Do you do that so you can shift your focus to other things, or do you not use alerts as often?
No, I use alerts quite a bit, especially when you're like, man, I missed that move. Instead of chasing it, just set alerts. And then, I may be working out or doing my regular work and not even paying attention. Alert will go off, then I'll get a text message. Then I'll put my attention back at that particular ticker, and then see, what kind of setup presents itself. Absolutely. Alerts I think is very important. But another thing is, you can't set an alert at the very key level where you want to enter. You want to do it, at least 20, 30 cents above or below. So that way you're getting there a little bit ahead of time instead of, right on the dot.
For sure. I agree. Yeah.
But alerts are definitely a part of my trading process.
Yeah. I mean, I've been hogging a lot of the questions here, but I will do another quick plug again for Trading the Post. So you can save $250 off that educational package, which is the course and 3 months of access to Ranch's rooms, which is what we've been talking about here with Ranch and TA for this whole time. So coupon code TTP save 250 is open until November 1st. So you can save $250 off if you use that at checkout, tradingthepost.com. Yeah, I mean, Jay, I'm curious, like for you, when you think about right now, kind of where we're at, and for anybody who is like, there's a lot of people who I think are pretty beaten down by these markets, and they're looking forward at what could be, what could be ahead of us, and they're just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Beyond, of course, us out here saying like, get involved in Trading the Post. I don't know. What do you tell people if you're at the bar and someone's like a beaten down trader and you're like, oh, I
think we all got spoiled, right, by last couple of years buying the fucking dip mentality.
Easy.
And I have a lot of friends that used to text me, buying, trading things, and I haven't heard from them in this whole year actually.
Silence, yeah. Silence speaks volumes, yeah.
And we all been there. If you blown up account, we all been there. The easiest way to fix it, educate yourself. because or else, your timeline of learning, learning curve is going to be much longer. I have spent a lot of money, and those are well spent money that I have done on education. And I wish I would have done them sooner, because then that would have helped me out on a lot of the things as far as, making mistakes. But, don't be too hard on yourself. If you're blowing up account, we all been there, we all done that. And it's possible to get yourself back up, with the right mentor, the right folks around you. You want to surround yourself with the folks that you're trying to be like, right? So, trading the post room is nothing but great traders. And yeah, you just got to have that fire in you, and then, yeah, I think, you just take one day at a time, and just be a little bit better than you were yesterday when it comes to trading, and know your mistakes and write them down if you have to. Before you know, you'll be writing the same thing over and over, that you will know not to do that again. So yeah, and just grind at it, and just be aware, and where you're at mentally, where your headspace is at, and then take one trade at a time. You don't have to write them all. You just need one solid good one.
Well said. Yeah, I mean, TA, thanks for being here, man. Thanks for doing this. I think you're just, as we said, you're an awesome part of our community, and been such a huge contributor, example of someone who pays it forward in terms of helping out a lot of people who who I think have really relied on your help, your inspiration. So really appreciate you doing that.
Anytime.
Ranch, anything else you want to add to this?
I as well. I appreciate you coming on. Not everybody, and it's not under, I mean, there are other traders in the room who we asked to come on, and do they, want to share their story, and not everybody does, and that's okay. And I just really, appreciate you, Brown Man, coming on to do that, because it's, we don't want to just pluck somebody and be like, hey, you've had this great success, come in and pump up the room. We want to hear your story, right? We want to hear what got you here, and want you to give, an unvarnished version of how you got to where you're at today, and, whether, that helps you, and how you use the room. Some traders just use the room as, I just like having a forum where I'm with other like-minded traders. Some traders come in and come in because they want to learn a specific type of trading, or figure out who they are, or they don't know enough about strategy or technical analysis, or these other things like reading tape, and this high frequency trading thing that we do. There's a lot of different reasons for people being in the room, and I think all of our traders probably have something different than everybody else, and not everybody wants to talk about it. So I do appreciate you coming on to talk about it and share your experience, because it does take a certain amount of nerve to come on camera and be Q&A'd. So I appreciate that.
Anytime for you guys.
Yeah,
appreciate it. All right, well, on that note, we will wrap this here, and we'll be back next week with the fourth and final installment in the Keeping Your Seat at the Table series. And again, we encourage you all to go to tradingthepost.com and check that out, and use that coupon code TTPSAVE250 to save $250 if you want to do that. TA, thanks for being here, man.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Raj, see you soon, man. All right, bye.
Bye.